on Twitch. So be nice to those people on Twitch.
Yeah.
People
Every time.
they're very mean.
Yeah. They're like, what are these old people doing on Twitch? Somebody asked me if I was on Twitch not too long ago, and I thought it was some sort of drug. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I haven't heard of that one. What's it do to you?
You're like, no, it's Parkinson's, asshole.
Yeah. Dick.
Jeez. All
Travis,
right.
but you getting the Lawrenceburg Speedway yet, or what?
Mid-May. Mid-May.
Tell you
That's
what.
the goal.
I want to take a ride in your car. I know you don't have a passenger seat, but I just kind of want to hang on.
You can
there.
fit in it.
You just hold on to the back of it with skateboard, Joe.
Yeah. Hoverboard. Got them now.
That sounds terrible. I'm going to have to turn these baseball games off. This is very distracting.
So, you know, on iRacing, I found a Back to the Future paint scheme for my 1987 Legacy Chevrolet. And it's pretty cool. It's Back to the Future paint scheme. It's pretty good.
And that
cool.
where it says in the future or where we're going, we won't need cars? And that kind of oxymoron.
Yeah. No, it's not cars. It's roads.
Roads. That's right. Sorry, I've never seen it.
You've never seen Back to the Future?
Mm-mm. That was in the 80s, man.
I'll fight you right now.
I heard it's really good, but I've never.
Have you seen Back to the Future?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. And speaking of Parkinson's, that was Michael J. Fox pre-Parkinson's. So.
Yes. Yeah. Sadly enough, that's why you brought it up. Yeah. Dick.
It is why I brought it up.
All right, Scott.
Just to make you feel bad.
All right. Well, it looks like we got some guys jumping in here. So on the docket today, we're going to be talking about probably already the best paint scheme for the Darlington Throwback. We'll give a quick input on that. I'm sure these guys won't object to that. We have our stock up, stock down. We're over 25% through the season right now. Who are we looking at as going upwards in trend? Who's going downwards in trend? Hint, my favorite people. And then we will talk about the new formats, especially the tires that are going to be presented for the All-Star race. So let's go ahead and get started. This is Stuck in the Catch Fence. I swept off my button and I missed it.
Your computer probbed.
True. It's a slippery mouse. It's a game mouse. It moves very fast. My name is Ryan Peters, where my favorite defensive player for the Cincinnati Bengals asked for a trade today. I'm joined by Travis Butt, who is, as he said, a month away from racing. Hopefully not even a month. Hopefully a couple weeks away from racing. And Joe just left the barbershop before coming in and is celebrating his son's birthday today.
Yeah. Definitely celebrating my son's birthday. He's double digits now, so you can't go back.
Good luck.
Big day for him.
That is a big day. I saw him yesterday at the ballpark. He was looking very stout. You can tell he's losing the child in him, like those features, and turning into a young gentleman.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about gentleman, but he's definitely turning into a young something. Some may call him a little asshole. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. He's doing great.
He's great to throw sunflower seeds at Bristol. So, yeah, we always enjoy that as well. So, guys, let's go ahead and jump in for the first topic, and that is we normally do a show where we rate other paint schemes for Darlington, the throwbacks. But, guys, I think the competition's already over. Hendrick Motorsports revealed this beauty right here, a throwback to Texas Terry. Man, I always complain that you guys with your Larson get the most boring schemes, mainly because it's the same one every single week. But, I mean, they hit it out of the park with that one, right, Travis?
Oh, easily. I've been begging for that one for the last 3 or 4 years, and finally they have brought it to life, and you can't beat it. I mean, it's whenever they brought back Jeff Gordon's throwback, with Byron, that did really well. I thought the last year when they did the Tony Stewart throwback with Larson was decent. But you can't beat this one. I mean, they've almost had this in the back pocket for a while now.
Joe, what's your thoughts on the throwback?
I think you do it for Terry. I like it. I love it, man. That's good stuff. I always enjoy throwback cars, honestly. Except the Jimmy Johnson throwback last year. That was terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's in tune with Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, this is a good one. I'm gonna enjoy watching that. So, I think he's got a big weekend that weekend too. He's got to do Indy qualifying and head over to North Wilkesboro. So big weekend for him.
Is there a chance that we see him not driving that car if he makes it to a certain point in qualifying? Isn't that a strong possibility that he doesn't make it back in time?
Is he not doing that for Darlington though? That's too.
Oh, that's Darlington. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm thinking North Wilkesboro. I'm jumping ahead.
You say different weekend. But I think they are practicing that weekend. But I think he'll be in that car no matter what.
Good catch, Travis. We were going off on a tangent that was absolutely wrong. But
we were like Corey LaJoy. We were just kind of on two wheels right there. And, we needed to be grounded. And Travis Budd is the one that grounds us all.
Good job, Travis.
We do have another throwback that was announced. Probably the best thing that RCR has done all year long, since they are terrible on the track, was present this off the track. This nice looking paint scheme. Unfortunately, it will be driven by Austin Dillon. So there's a strong chance it doesn't even make the main feature. Now this one is this a North Wilkesboro?
No, that's still.
This is also Darlington?
Yeah.
Man, I was thinking it was North Wilkesboro, but they have this at Bill Elliott's little garage down there at Talladega. What do you guys think about this throwback from RCR to the Dale days?
I think you bring any paint scheme back from the Dale days. It's just a good tribute. That was one of his more iconic night race schemes that, kind of went around. You see a lot of the cool stuff. So I don't think it's as cool.
Is that a Bristol scheme?
No, I'm trying to think I think he might have ran that in the All-Star race. A lot of the stuff they run anymore is just the stuff people ran randomly in the All-Star race. But that one, I think, brings back, what was that one when they ran all the colors? You remember when they showed up and they had all the colors?
Yeah.
I mean, that one was cool. I think they ran that a couple of years ago. I mean, you can't beat that. So still cool. Anytime you can honor Dale, it's always a cool moment.
Joe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. The only issue that I ever have with that is Austin Dillon being in the car.
We should have showed the tweet. What tweet was that?
I still think this is me personally, and I really don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I don't think that young man is worthy to drive the car with that number on it. I never will. I think that is an incredible disgrace, and I will always believe that. So, I have mixed emotions.
I think there's a lot of people in your camp. I also would say that after being a Kyle Busch fan, a lot of it's not Austin Dillon's fault. I would like to actually see him do something in a different ride, because when Kyle Busch can run in the late 20s, it's no surprise that Austin Dillon is running in 30th. So,
and so let's be totally honest about this, though. JJ Yaley was better when he drove for a major team than Austin Dillon is. So, be careful what you wish for when you say, "I want to see him in another." I want to see him in another ride, because he's one step away from Rick Ware Racing, where probably he needs to be.
I honestly don't mind if Kyle Busch goes to Rick Ware Racing at this point. You know what? Let's not jump ahead 3 segments from now. I do want to get to – I did a short video yesterday. The news came out on the All-Star Race format, and I think the biggest thing that was displayed there is that NASCAR will have 2 different tire compounds. So they will have what's called the Prime, which is just a regular tire. So if it's the same one remotely close to Martinsville, you might be able to run the entire All-Star race on it, especially the left side. And then they will have an option compound tire, which is essentially the same tread as the wet weather tire, but it will not have the tread. Obviously, it will still be a bald tire. Outside of that, you know, to me, this is a monumental moment in NASCAR, especially for this car. We're looking for something to happen to where the product here recently has not been good. The more and more we learn about this car, it seems like the more and more flaws it has. Travis, you were way ahead of it at Daytona. You mentioned about the fuel saving and how you did not enjoy a lot of that race because of it. And it seemed like it, you know, manifested on like The Rock and Barry Bonds on steroids here at Talladega, where they were literally talking about more often than not running at 40 to 50% throttle. So now it seems NASCAR has to get more gimmicky and come up with a tire option to where these cars actually look like they can pass each other. And this may be the future. So Joe, I'll give it to you. If this works, would you be willing to accept NASCAR having two different tire options moving forward?
Well, I think so. I think one thing that we have to look at, and maybe I'm looking at this all wrong, but are we at that point where NASCAR has realized that the product that they have created with the next gen car is so bad that we are trying to find outlying things to change things up, right? So we're like, hey, let's try a new aero package at short track, or let's try a new aero package. Let's now at an all-star race try to give them two different sets of tires. I think what really needs to be addressed is one, we beat this horse to death, horsepower, and two, let's start addressing the car. I mean, I think you create a product, and the idea of creating every product, whether it be NASCAR or anything else, is to progress and get better. Well, it seems NASCAR has decided we're not going to actually look at the real issue. We're going to try to find gimmicks to fix what we can't fix or what we're willing to address. And that's kind of what I'm at. So I don't know if I'll be willing to accept it or not. I think NASCAR has always historically been, hey, everybody has the same tires. And I don't think that should necessarily have to change or should change. So I don't know if I'm willing to accept it or not. I think it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to watch. And I'm always for trying new things at an all-star race. It doesn't matter. Or, at the bash at the beginning of the year, I'm all for trying new things. But I don't think that this is the right avenue or the right approach to try to fix what needs to be fixed, especially for short tracks.
Travis, you got a question from Anthony first. It says, in dirt, can you run different manufacturers like Hoosiers versus American?
Just depends. What I run, you can probably, no one will probably ever say anything to you. So technically, yes, there's a lot of places where, like, if you go up more like East Coast, it's only American Hoosiers, American racers, not Hoosiers. If you go south, it's more 50-50. Around here, a lot of people just run Hoosiers, but I could probably run American racers and no one would really say anything.
No, I will say that. I mean, and that's a question. This is just kind of a tangent. I would have no problem with NASCAR allowing teams to select their own manufacturer tires as long as they're within the same specs. I actually think that would bring a little competition into that as well. So, just my thoughts on that. I know it's tangent and irrelevant to what you ask.
Yeah, Joe, I think you have a lot of strong points there, and I can't say that I see the positive and agree with a lot of it, and I also am worried about the product. But Travis, what are your overall thoughts on what Joe has to say, and then just for yourself?
NASCAR's not going to go to a two different tire model. I think they're still trying to be the, how are we different than like F1 per se? There's always a lot of comparison with that stuff. For the sake of, I think NASCAR's testing this to see if they're capable of producing a soft enough tire for them to race on short track. And I think Joe hit it round the head when he says it's too many gimmicks. There's gimmick this, gimmick that. Like, let's change this. It's just like they gimmicked the All-Star race back in 2018 for the 550 package. whatever. No, that was 2019 that they gimmicked the 550 package, or 20. I think it was 2019. 2019 is when they gimmicked the package, and then it came fruition in 2020 with the 550, crap like that. So I'm interested to see what the tires do. I kind of agree with the sake that it's going to produce something, and it's going to give us something to look at. There's people's going to go with that little soft tire, the rain tire, whatever they call it, the option tire, and then you got the prime tires. So it's going to be definitely interesting. I don't know what it's going to produce. The last time they did this little tire thing, it was a disaster. Like you couldn't even pass with it. Well, I don't remember what year it was when they did that. Was it 2017 when they did that?
I don't know the year, but I know what you're referencing.
They were like, "Oh, this one's soft. This one's almost a second quicker." Blah blah blah, and it's like it was just a dud. It would only lasted for like 2 laps, and then you couldn't do anything after that. So interesting. NASCAR will always be the one tire, but I want to see what happens whenever they bring in the super soft tire. And that's going to produce something. That's what Denny Hamlin. That's what everyone's been wanting to do. Is get aggressive. We want aggressive. Do something to see what happens. And then that's what they're going to have. They're going to have the super wet with no grooves, wet tire that has no grooves in it. So see what happens.
Anthony, they actually have 5 compounds. It's C1 through 5, but they only bring 3 compounds, whether it be C1 through 3, C2 through 4, things of that nature too. Formula One. To kind of counter that, Travis, I would have said 5 years ago that NASCAR will never have one lug nut. Never would have guessed that they would have one lug nut.
Or stages.
I don't know. Like stages is its own unique thing. It's not a copying to me of any other type of racing, but one lug nut is a direct copy of open wheel racing. Especially they decide to go to one lug nut at the height of Formula One in this country. So they get further and further away from the actual stock car when it comes to things of that nature. The suspension systems, the sequential gear shifts, all these different things that, the American muscle car was known for. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do go to this, if it works. Now, my question to you is if it does work and we do get better racing, it's going to bring more strategy. And if the product is better, will you care that there's 2 options? That's the thing with me. Like, would you rather watch Martinsville with what we watched, or would you rather watch Martinsville with the opportunity to have different strategy and it actually be an entertaining race? Because I'm with you, Joe. The problem is not the tire, it's the car. The car is a complete dud outside of one product, and that is the mile and a halves. It has ruined road courses. They're too easy to drive on road courses because they're like a GT3 car on road courses. On super speedways, you can't pass. We saw that. As soon as you go 3 wide, you can't pass. And on short tracks, you can't drive close enough due to aero at 80 mile an hour to bump the guy in front of you. So we hear about money. And again, NASCAR is saying, they've already made it clear they're not going to increase the horsepower next year. They've already said it. They're not going to increase the horsepower next year. So that can is kicked further and further down the road. So do we just stick our heads in the ground and saying, nope, I'm not doing anything different? It's either horsepower or bust. I will completely watch this terrible product on 50%. Let's just put it that way, 50% of the tracks. Or do we welcome in something different? If it actually is entertaining. If it's not entertaining, then you've screwed everything up anyway, and we'll just have to deal with it. But if it is entertaining, Joe, are you still firmly against it? If they're not, since we know they're not going to change it, at least in past next year.
I don't want to say that I'm going to be against something that works. I don't think it'll work. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I can't say that I'll be firmly against something that entertains me. I'm
right.
Not,
and this is a hypothetical question.
Yeah. I'm not going to be that person that goes, nope, I said it wouldn't work and it clearly does. So fuck this. I ain't paying attention to it. I don't think I'll be that person.
Which was us at Chicago last year. We
Right.
all disagree, or we all thought it was going to be a dud, and it was actually really fun. So just kind of like in that example.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, if they do it and it's one of the most entertaining races of the year, then obviously I'll be like, hey, maybe we should try this more often. But I still, at the end of the day, I'll probably still have that foundation that I believe that they're trying to fix a problem without fixing the problem.
I agree. I think that's absolutely true. Man, it just seems like, and maybe I'm just naive, but when we went from, the car of tomorrow, Gen 5 to Gen 6, I just don't remember so many issues until France left. And then they're like, let's get 550. Let's try to get as many cars on the screen as we can. Let's try to do super speedway racing on mile and a half artificially. And then it turned into complete dog crap. I mean, you don't hear a single driver talk about how they enjoy racing these. It's actually now other drivers talking about how the lower series are more fun. And now more than ever, there's the Kyle Busch rule where these guys can't even race in the lower series. So, I mean, it's like you're setting this up to where the stars of the sport are, they hate this car. I mean, they don't like anything that has to do with it. When you continuously hear that, I mean, Travis, you watch both series. You watch the Truck Series. You watch the Xfinity Series. If the Xfinity Series continues to be a better product, is that something that, you think will fester into negativity in the sport, and the growth that we've seen in the last couple of years will go backwards because the minor leagues are better than the majors?
It would have to be. It's probably had to be over like a 10-year process. I mean, Sundays obviously just get more TV time than Saturdays. I just don't see.
Not this Sunday.
Yeah,
we got 22 commercials.
Yep. So I mean, I'm looking at it would have to be like a 10-year process. This isn't something that's just going to happen over the next 5 years. Even it'd have to be something over the next 10 years. And if we're going to be honest with you, I could see a new car happening in the next 5 years, an upgrade of some sort. I mean,
man, that seems like a long time to go through this.
I know, but you got to think about what is racing. And racing is where you get creative ideas. That's why we have the different chassis. That's why we have the different manufacturers, so people can get creative. I get it. They were trying to save money by, taking out the cost of people building chassis or this and that. But in the long run, I don't think it really saved any money, because we talk about like Denny Hamlin talking about like, oh yeah, we just barely scruffed a diffuser and it's ruined. Like there's $25,000. We talk about
his bills today are the same as they were 5 years
Yep, he
ago.
said they're actually more expensive right now compared to what it was with the Gen 6. And it's because of, there's nothing reusable. Where the Gen 6 had some reusable parts.
Or they could sell the parts to other teams.
And really what's the money saving factor that comes down to everything has been the chassis itself, if we're going to be honest with you, because you can reuse them as long as you don't damage anything. You get them straightened out, this or that. They're not always building these things. They're all the same. That's part of the reason we can't pass on some of this stuff, because they're all just the same car. It's hard to see like myself as, dirt, like we're building cars, there's different chassis because, they work better in different areas. As far as the tire compounds, I don't see why we're not going to have two compounds. And the perfect example would be you have the prime tire and that option tire. The only time that option tire will be put on at like a Martinsville or something like that is if there's like 25 laps to go, because everyone's going to want the track position of, okay, like this tire lasts, like if we have a 100-lap run, my other tire that option tire is going to go make me fall back after 50 laps. Yeah. Am I going to get ahead? Heck yeah, I'm going to be flying. But after 50 laps, I'm done. Like I'm going backwards, just like what we saw at Bristol per se. Yeah. But sorry, I was just thinking about that and wanted to get off my head. But as far as I could see NASCAR in the next 5 to 7 years coming out with a new car, I would not be shocked at all if they say, hey, we messed up. besides on the mile
I
and a half.
would be absolutely shocked if I ever heard NASCAR say that.
Well,
I don't think
they
I've
talk
ever
about-
heard NASCAR say that ever.
I think they talk about the COT car, and they go, and was it Bill France that even admitted on the Dale Jr. download? It's like, I'm not going to admit it was a mistake, but it wasn't perfect by any means.
Well, and I think, so if we remember back, the next gen car I think was supposed to come out in 2019.
Yeah, it was delayed like 3 times.
Yeah,
Gen 7.
It was supposed to come out in 2019, and it was delayed. And then obviously with COVID, we used that as an excuse. But even a year after that, 2021 was the first year for it. We're in our 3rd year, correct? Am I right on my math?
You're right.
So or 2022 was the first year for it, and I think there was a lot of speculation as to why this car was so late, why it was 3 years late. And I think maybe now we actually know why, because I think maybe NASCAR actually had a feeling that they had a dud on their hand with this car. And I think the first year we watched this, what I think we saw, because the quality of racing the first year in the next gen car, I actually think was better than this year and last year. And I think that was really just drivers becoming accustomed to the new car.
Mm-hmm.
I know they did testing, but as you know, in any sport, live runs are the best practice you could have to better your skill. And I think everybody has learned this car now, and I think NASCAR knew that this was going to be the case with what we have and the product that we have. And I think if I was a betting man, which I am, I would almost be willing to bet that NASCAR, with the delay of this car for 3 years, was maybe possibly thrown around and being on the verge of scrapping the idea to begin with, and then decided there was too much money invested in it. So
I could sit here and fix a car in 5 things.
Right.
You go back to 4-speed. You could still do the thing. You can still paddle shift or whatever you want to call that, but go back to 4-speed instead of a 5-speed. You go back to a 15-inch tire instead of the low profile. Everything else would be okay. You would make it and then when you make that 15-inch, the brakes get smaller, so we don't have so much braking. Yeah, that's all it comes down to. You put back to 4-speed where people can't shift when they make a mistake, like on short tracks, and then you go back to a smaller tire. That would fix a lot of issues. It would fix so many issues,
and all that
on
costs
short
money.
tracks and road courses.
And that's why they don't do it.
But we're sitting here and we say this, and if NASCAR would just go back to the old schedule with only 2 road courses, a ton of mile and a halves, and some short tracks in there, I don't think we'd sit here and complain. But NASCAR was like, all right, short tracks, road courses are going to be a big thing. Oh, then they got to this next run Carnival. They're like, oh crap, we screwed up. We got too many of these things in here. So either NASCAR's going to go back to the old schedule where it's all mile and a halves, short tracks and stuff like that. I mean, mile and a halves, 2 road courses and some short tracks, or they're going to have to figure something else out.
Yeah. I just think that if you look at where we were, with previous previous generations, not just the previous generation, but previous generations, more often than not, Daytona and Talladega were always fun, except when they rode the high line and just sit there and, did slot cars. And short tracks have always been entertaining. And, we had that little bitty taste of Watkins Glen, Sonoma, and was just enough to go, yeah, that'll be fun again when we watch that next year. I don't need to see 5 of it, but it'll be fun when we get to see that next year. It's literally just destroyed the product at super speedways, short tracks, and road courses. And it's just hard to watch. And you're right. They are going to have to go back to mile and a halves, but at the same time, they destroyed running at 2 of them, which was Chicagoland and Kentucky, that easily could be used right now and be more beneficial than, say, having to go to Richmond twice or things of that nature. But I just don't think that NASCAR is going to make this. I honestly, I think we'll be racing inside a Dodger Stadium before we actually see anything beneficial to actual good racing from what they want. What they want is eyeballs and dollars on this sport that are artificial. It's like putting makeup on a pig. It's still a pig, and that's what NASCAR wants. They want you to actually think that these cars can pass each other at Talladega. They can't. They won't. But they want you to actually, in your mind, when you're watching that, go, yeah, they'll be able to pass each other because I've never watched NASCAR before. Or what's even worse, if you actually turn the son of a bitch off after watching the 15th commercial whenever you're trying to watch said Talladega. So it's I don't the quickest fix they could do is just let the guys run the Xfinity car, and I think everybody would be fine with that because all the drivers would have a heyday, and I wouldn't be upset if we did an all-star race where they got to run truck, Xfinity, and the Cup car and just do it that way or something of that nature because something's got to give. And I don't think it's going to be NASCAR.
See, I've always been confused by this and I never understood why. And maybe it's just because the Xfinity car had the composite body, but they always talked about you need what they say you need like $5 million in order to run a full Xfinity series. And then, the Cup series was just inflated. And I've never understood that because they were always the same chassis there for the longest time.
Right.
And, they really kind of had the same motor and, stuff like that. So
the Gen 4 car is so good, they still use it for ARCA, for God's sakes. That thing is older than dirt. And what did it start like 1994 or something like that?
Or Jeremy Clemens is still running. He ran like a 2009 chassis. I saw where he was like, this is a 2009 chassis that we're still running. And I'm like, holy crap.
Now tell me that's not saving money.
Well, and I'll tell you this. If iRacing is any indication with the Gen 4 car, it's one of the funnest cars to drive too. So
it's definitely a hell of a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All right, guys. Well, moving on to the next topic, the main topic, which I knew this would probably cover more time because it's a really, really good topic. But stock up, stock down. Let's go ahead and look where the driver standings are right now. So this is your top 17. So you got Larson in first place by 15 points over Truex, Chase Elliott in third, Byron in fourth. Reddick moves up 3 spots after last week. Denny moves down 3 spots. Ryan Blaney steady at 7th. Ty Gibbs, probably one of the biggest movers from last year to this year. Ross Chastain sneaks into the top 10. Alex Bowman in the top 10. Bubba Wallace 11th. Briscoe in 12th. Bell in 13th. Keselowski up 3 spots from last week. Back-to-back runner-up finishes. Logano, Busher down, and then my boy on the outside of the playoffs as we currently sit. The rest, you got Suarez, Hendrick, Jones, Hocevar, Nemechek, Priest, Gilliland, Stenhouse, Michael McDowell, Noah Gragson, Barry, Hemrick, LaJoy, Dylan, Burton, Haley, Gralla, and Zane Smith, another rookie, in dead last place from the full-time schedule. So this is stock up and stock down as of right now. Who are you buying as your stock, whether they are hovering in a certain spot and you think they're going to go up, or you're buying the high and saying, I think it's going to stay there for the rest of the year? Joe, I'll start with you.
Well, this is going to be very hard for me to admit this. I think out of the way, just real quick, obviously Chase Elliott coming back, competing where he's competed, gotten a win this year. His stock is, absolutely went up compared to where we thought that he was going to be at in the drought that he had. But I don't think anybody thought that was going to last forever. It seemed like it might have, but, I think we all knew that he was going to bounce back.
What? Is it
Zach?
Dude, yeah, he's the biggest person on your fan. Oh,
hey.
That was he did the compliment. He did the insult sandwich. He gave you the compliment and then threw the insult right in the middle.
Classic psychology, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, because then you can't be mad at him for the insult. Anyway.
Yeah.
I am, because I am not a JGR fan, never have been. But I think Ty Gibbs, man, I think he's here to stay. I was halfway hoping just because It's my own petty fandom, really. Just understanding Ty Gibbs, was probably given a better opportunity than what any of us would ever be given in a situation where we were that. And I'm not saying that I could be the quality of race car driver he is. I'm not saying that. The young man's a very good race car driver. What I'm saying is, if we were both equal in our ability to do that, he obviously had the opportunity above and beyond what other people have had. But I think that he is, and I don't even want to say slowly, because it's his third year. Year two. He raced a little bit when Kurt got hurt.
Yes.
So, year 2 in the Cup, he's in the top 10. He's competing week in and week out. You always see him. I think another year or two, he's going to be fighting for a win every other race. He's going to be one of the premier drivers in the sport. I think his stock is absolutely through the roof right now. And I think it will continue to climb. Unfortunately, as far as stock going down.
Hold on. We'll all do stock
first. That?
Yeah.
My bad.
You're good.
So that's where I'm at. I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs right now.
I think that's a good choice. Travis?
I'm going to go with 2 here.
Can't do that.
I should have just let you do stock down, Joe. He's just making up rules.
No, okay. I'll go with 1. I'm going to buy Kyle Busch's stock right now. I think it's down. It's not worth a lot of money right now. And this is why. He's on pace for one of his worst starts of his career. Kyle Busch is not going to be someone that's going to be satisfied just running where he is right now. I know his cars aren't very good right now, but him and Randall are going to buddy up here. They got some decent tracks coming up for him. I think he will be just fine. It's not worth that much money right now. I think it is a perfect – Kyle Busch is going to get a win this year, if not 2. He's going to get the playoffs. So that stock is then I can sell it in the playoffs for triple of what I bought it. You sound
like a CFO for JP Morgan after the 2008 housing bubble.
Hey,
way too much cocaine. Like,
hey,
you know what we can do?
Save this video.
All that shit back that we just lost. And it's
gonna save this video. Yeah. Save this video. Yeah. I'm calling it out. Kyle Busch is not going to go down without his fight.
Travis Butt, CEO of Enron.
Hey, he's not going to go down without a fight. He's not going to go down without a fight.
We had a baseball field. Now I'm in jail.
Oh.
It's going to go out with a fight. Get him now while he's low. He can't go no lower. He ain't going to go down no lower.
My stock is the guy that just won because I think the stock of the team is going higher, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. I think 2311 is here to stay, and I think one of the smartest moves they could have done was pry Tyler Reddick away from RCR a year earlier than what his contract even said it was there, able to get him a year early than what they originally got. A little bit of luck, bad luck, since Kurt Busch ended up having to retire early due to health. But I'm all in on Tyler Reddick. I mean, the guy can win on mile and a halves. The guy can win on road courses. He's one of the best road course drivers that we have right now. And then you see him put himself in the position to be there at the end, didn't make the mistakes that needed to be, that he was able to put himself in a position to win, and he did. And that's what you have to do at a super speedway. It just seems like he's learning all the time. And I'm putting my stock into not just the driver, but the company. The company is going up with it. 2311 is moving up. I mean, as much as we hate on Bubba Wallace, I mean, the guy is still 11th in points right now. That's just purely based on racing. And it's because the stock of the company is going up. He is in fast cars. He's never going to be as good as the guy driving next to him because Bubba Wallace just doesn't have that type of talent. But the cars have talent. Tyler Reddick is Kyle Larson light to me. And I think that he's going to win a lot of races. Unfortunately, like Kyle Larson, he makes some mistakes at times, trying to get a little bit too much out of that car, trying to do a little too much. But you rather have a driver that's willing to give everything that he's got every single week. And whenever I think of the two drivers that do that, Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick give 125% every single race. So when I'm buying a stock, It's something that is not just what I think is wheel talent. It's what I think company-wise at the end of the day. I think 23XI, they had a 5-year plan. They got Michael Jordan, the biggest athlete in the entire world still today, invested. I'm all in, man. I'm all in. And, it's pretty fun to watch, and I think NASCAR's done a horrific job not promoting Michael Jordan in the sport. It took a win for him to be there. And also my favorite tweet was, I thought Michael Jordan was holding Tyler Reddick after that win. So that was a really
hey, how cool for that kid though, who had no idea who was actually holding him. Why his dad celebrated. Yeah, look at him like, who's this guy?
Yeah. Stranger danger. Yeah.
He's like, you want to go to your dad now? And the kid was like, yeah, I do. Get off me, dude.
Yeah, there are grown men that would said, I will jump in Michael Jordan's arms if he would only open them up for me. So, I mean, that kid, like you said, Joe, that will go down as one of the greatest pictures of that kid's life when he had no idea what the hell was going on. So, Joe, you're stock down.
Well, I have one for this, but I'm going to Mr. Peters, I'm going to let you cover that one. So I'm actually going to take another one. And I am going to give you 2 for this. But both of them are first year drivers in Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar. I had Carson Hocevar. I had big hopes for watching him the last couple of years in the Truck Series. I know that there's always first year struggles, but man, it's been bad. It's been bad for him. It's been bad for Zane Smith this year. I mean, just absolutely horrible. So, I know every team and every driver expects some struggles your first year or two, but I mean, some of this is with Zane Smith. It's so bad that,
it's bad.
I think
it's bad.
Maybe his stock is so low. He's running himself out of the top series, and he's doing it quickly. And before you know it, he's going to find himself right back where the Dinger is, right back where Allgaier is, and
well, to be fair, AJ Allmendinger didn't deserve to be downgraded.
No, he didn't. He didn't. You're right. He didn't. But yeah. I have suspicions that Zane Smith is probably going to be that guy that even in the future he goes back down. He's going to redeem himself because he is a good race car driver, but it's always going to be that kind of moniker. You had your chance. So I think his stock has fell through the floor.
Travis, you were giving side eyes. You got a rebuttal to those?
I almost bought Carson's. I was going to buy Carson's stock almost. I think he's been by far the best Spyro car. If I'm going to be honest with you, he got their first top 10 from rather than a restrictor plate race or super speedway or whatever. I think Carson has the talent. I think Spire as a whole sucks right now. If we're just going to be honest with you, they put all that as a company in the trucks. They've been fine, but you see them putting all this money into the sport. Then they came out worse than they did last year. I mean, did they just get that far behind? Did they get that far behind and not make the improvements they needed? I don't know. You watch Corey LaJoie this year. I mean, heck, we talked about him a few times last year, and where has he been this year?
He's
been awful. He's been awful. I think he's like 32nd in points. I mean, he's awful.
You're probably. I agree with you.
He's 30th in points.
I think Carson Hocevar. I think I was starting to become a fan with him, and I think maybe my feelings on this.
Yeah,
I'm just disappointed.
I think Zane. I think he's in a tough spot. I think he's the Graxon car of last year. If we're gonna be honest, just God, they don't even look like they have anything in that car. It's just barely put together, and it sucks because I think he does have a little bit, but I think the trucks to Cup is just a big jump. But I think you make a great point where you say, like, when does Trackhouse take over that car, or when does Spire just say, hey, just let's keep it in house? Because I feel like it's like a conflicting car. It's almost like an R&D car. Like, I feel like it's just an old Hendrick. They bring a 5th car. We're just gonna R&D it. Like, it's just gonna run in the back, but we're gonna try a bunch of crap to it, type of thing. So I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Joe, do you think that Zane Smith could have a Noah Gragson type turnaround?
I think he's a good enough driver to. I mean, I think first of all, I mean, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but do you feel that he was ready for the Cup Series in the first place?
No, I think every driver should at least attempt to run one.
I don't think him and Hocevar were automatically put in a terrible spot. Going straight from trucks into which Hocevar. I think Hocevar ran 1 or 2 Xfinity races, if I'm not mistaken.
He ran a Cup race last year too.
Yeah, and he ran a Cup race last year. And then Zane Smith, he had run a bunch of Xfinity races too. I know he wasn't a full-time driver, if I'm not mistaken. But I think going from the Cup or the Truck Series straight into the Cup Series is kind of a no-win situation right off the bat. That's almost to me, that's almost kind of equating it to something as taking a high school baseball player and throwing them right in the big leagues without giving them any time to see what game speed is at the professional level. So,
right.
I think that's
not working out for Jackson Holiday. I'll say that.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's possible. I think Travis is spot on. I think they both need to get in better equipment, or their teams need to do better. But at the end of the day, as far as Carson Hocevar, like I was saying, Travis, I think maybe because my fandom of him was growing, and it was kind of one of those deals where you hope that he's going to do great things, and then, it's just been a disappointment to me, and Zane Smith a little bit too. But I think Zane Smith is, like I said, in that situation where I think he's probably going to lose a ride. Not this year, but if he has the same season next year, I think he'll end up losing a ride, and I think he'll go back down to a lower series, and I don't think he'll get another shot.
Yeah.
I think, Joe, too, to put a bow on it, is Spire won the press conference awards. They had us believing, based upon their press conference, that when you buy Kyle Busch Motorsports, when you invest with Gainbridge, I think we all artificially inflated our expectations without seeing anything happen on the track. And, I think that kind of leads into some of that disappointment too, because we're like, oh man, they got KBM now. They're investing into it. Looks like they're serious. And then when that doesn't, and then when Corey LaJoy is still Corey LaJoy, you go, okay. So I think that's part of it as well, which is a natural feeling, because I think it's easy to say, man, I thought these guys would be better, but it's probably more their equipment than the actual drivers, except for Zane Smith. He has been just a shit show. Like, he's really, really bad. So Travis, you're stock down.
I mean, I was going to say stock down to be Spire, but we're not going to go through team. Stock down. I'm going to go to the different spectrum. So you're always going to do it, sell while you're high. I am going to go with Martin Truex. Sell it while it's high. He has not ran. He's only had a chance to run one race. For me, I feel like he has not ran well, and he's sitting there second in points.
Isn't that an attribute?
Man,
that seems like Martin Truex Jr. all the time.
Yeah,
man, he hasn't won a race yet. Third in points, son of a bitch.
Yeah, I think you just look at it last year. I think he won Dover last year. Yeah. He's someone that's going
to. The Truexes run Dover last year. Put some respect on Ryan.
Yeah, they did. I just see it's going to be. I almost was going to say it's the same thing as going to happen last year. He's going to keep pointing his way, doing this. I don't see him getting first, and I don't see him winning regular season again. I just see his stock, and you hear what I've seen him run. He just sits there and complains and this and that crap. And
I do worry about that.
Pit crew has not
James
been
Small. They are at it all the time, dude.
Its pit crew has not been spot on either. So I'm just gonna say I'm gonna sell it while it's high. Like, he's second in points. That thing's worth a lot of money. Let me sell it. Let me get it out of there. Get it out of my hands. I'd be willing to sell that.
Okay, so it's a GameStop stock right now. It's a little higher than it should be.
Yeah.
What should it be? What should Martin Truex be in your eyes?
If we had to sit here and rank, if we didn't know the point standings, I would say he'd probably be 7th or 8th in points right now, based off how
Okay.
he's ran. About 10th, 8th,
I
7th,
think
and 10th.
that's exactly where I was thinking, between 7 and 10.
And that's what you look at. But you look at like like a William Byron. He's what, 4th in points? Man, I thought he'd be like 2nd, 1st, but like a Denny Hamlin, I think he's 3rd. I mean, Kyle Busch, I was like, he'd maybe like 12th or 13th, but it's 17th.
Then you're not a Kyle Busch fan.
I know, but it's like I thought he ran halfway. Like somebody said, okay.
No,
Like
they're not.
Corey LaJoy, I was like, okay, maybe he's like 25th, 30th. You just look at some of this stuff, and I'm gonna go back to the point of like the Spire, like all this money, like their truck series program like turned around a ton, but
because they bought the best truck series.
I know,
like that's
an
easy investment, is to buy the best team and then do nothing and go, man, this is actually really good.
Spire has 50% of the truck wins this year.
Yeah,
2 with Kyle, 1 with Raja. They have some top 5. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I do want to give an honorable mention to a buy. Jesse Love. He seems like a really good kid and was enjoyable on Door Bumper Clear. I will give a honorary sell before I go into a tangent here in just a second. John Hunter Nemechek. Thought he would be a lot better. He's not. I don't know if he's a Cup driver full. It seems like he has to be in really, really, really good Xfinity equipment for him to do anything, or really, really, really good truck equipment. As soon as he gets put in a Cup car, he just is not good. And he's been that way both times, whether it was behind a Ford or behind a Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to comment on your tangent. I mean, we've seen that a lot through the generations of NASCAR, though, where people get rides because of their name, and that is another example of that. And I know that one's a touchy one to talk about, but I mean, there are countless people driving on dirt tracks on Friday and Saturday night that are just as good a driver as he is. So he's there because of his name, and I don't think that is wrong to say that at this point.
No, I don't disagree. I also think that Ty Gibbs and Chase Elliott are exceptions to the norm when it comes to that, because there are plenty of guys, that do get in this sport based upon money and who their daddy is and who their daddy's daddy was. But unfortunately, my sell is going to be Kyle Busch and RCR as a whole. 2 years ago, we're talking about, you can shake your head all you want. We were talking about how this team should have sold after losing Tyler Reddick because there had nothing positive in the sport. It's almost like once they were able to manipulate and get Kyle Busch away, because the offers, from what we know, were Colleague. Thank God that didn't work out, because they're terrible and they're only good on Xfinity, and possibly a Rick Ware, or God knows what else could have been there. So when you look at RCR, and the sell isn't from an emotional standpoint, it is from an analytical standpoint. Where is RCR good? Nowhere. They are good nowhere. Why are they good nowhere? Because they don't have anything that they can build upon to be good. They put their resources, it looks like, into an Xfinity Series team where, engine and stuff like that matters on that series. But when it comes to this short track package that RCR has, they have the best short track racer of our generation getting lapped under green. When it comes to never heard of them. Whenever it comes to the mile and a halves, they're not fast. They have to artificially manipulate a top 10 by hoping that there's a wreck. And thankfully for Randall and the new crew chief, after they fired the crew chief for Austin Dillon, they were able to artificially manipulate a top 10 at Texas. The only other thing that they've run good at is super speedways, and you can see what happens there. If you don't have the best pit crew, more often than not, you're not going to run up front. And I think we know that RCR doesn't have the best pit crew based upon what we've seen in our short time with Kyle Busch in the number 8 car. So where in the world can you hang your hat on to say that RCR is a buy when there's nothing there that they're showing that they've improved upon when Kyle Busch behind the car, or that they're building upon for any other type of program, even if it's not Kyle Busch, but for Austin Dillon, because you don't want to talk about Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon is out on 10 feet of dog shit because he can't even run in the top 20th. Like you said, Travis, you really like that tweet. Hey, top 30 for Austin Dillon. That's a good run for him, because that's not a joke anymore. That's the actual truth.
Mhm.
So if you're buying RCR, please tell me what the sales pitch is, because right now I'm looking at Motorsports Games, the creator of NASCAR Ignition, where they keep asking for money. And right now, that guy's probably heading off at some type of, I don't know, head of director at Ukraine at this point, just begging for money without anything in return. So where is RCR? Where am I hanging my hat on? And you giving me the sales pitch to invest in you, because I don't see it.
I'll give you 2 words. Kyle effing Busch. I guess it's 3 words. KFB. That's why. Kyle is not going to sit there and be bad. They're going to figure something out. He's going to get some wins. He's going to be there at the playoffs. I think he'll be just fine. He's twice the driver as Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon could have the best equipment. Think about it. I mean, just think about when they first came out with the Gen 7 car, with the next gen car. Who was probably the top 3 team the first year? The 8 car with Randall and Tyler Reddick.
Just because of road courses, that's it.
Well, I thought they were good at 1.5 miles, and they were good at 2-mile tracks. I think
because of road courses.
Yeah,
he was the new road course king.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I don't know that we could sit here and say Kyle Busch is going to be there.
You have to give a talent gap that Kyle Busch has went down too. He has regressed.
I don't, and I won't even say that, Ryan. I think that you're just a pissed off fan right now. I still think he's one of the top 5 drivers in the sport right now. And I don't think anybody can argue that. I think RCR. I think RCR has gotten so bad, and what I just said about John Hunter Nemechek, you times that by 35, and that's what Austin Dillon is. Because Austin Dillon has no business running in the top series of stock racing, auto racing at all. He has no business being there. He's just simply not good enough. But at the end of the day, RCR has gotten so bad, and I think part of that is I don't think that there's any command structure there anymore. I don't think Richard Childress cares anymore. Honestly, I don't think he cares. I think everybody that is leading that organization needs to step aside, and if they want that legacy to live on and not completely die, because that's what's happening. We're 3 or 4 years away from RCR, and I say this seriously. We are maybe 5 years away, half a decade away from RCR being Rick Ware Racing. I mean, that's where we are as far as competitiveness, because there is no, and we keep hearing about, well, this guy's stepping aside to take a new role. That's what happens in organizations where they don't fire people, and they continue to find spots for people because they don't want to get rid of them, because
it's a buddy family run business. Exactly.
Yeah, because they're connected by family. So it's like, hey, it's like when a guy owns a company and he appoints his son as vice president, and his son's doing cocaine in the bathroom all fucking day long. Don't
you talk about Jim Irsay?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on in that organization. And I'm not saying people are using drugs and they're shooting lines of meth, in the bathroom or anything, but that's exactly what's going on. The product that they are creating is complete dog shit, and because they won't make substantial changes that need to be made, that's what's going to happen. Look at what Hendrick did. Hendrick's like, hey, Jeff Gordon, one of the best race car drivers at all time, why don't you come in and run shit for us? And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. And look at what we have. RCR is like, hey, Austin, great 30-second finish. You keep it up, young man. That's my grandson right there. That's pretty much what you got, and that's what's happening to the team.
Yeah, well, and also on top of that, you got guys like Andy Petrie, who, are their director. Think about this, like, as much as you guys, especially Travis, is clowned upon Sheldon Creed, that was an absolute horrific way to send a guy out the door. Mm-hmm. That is a trashless, classless trash system to send a guy out like Sheldon Creed, who did not deserve to just be shit on when he went out the door. I
Yep.
thought Sheldon Creed was a solid driver, a respectful driver. And those are the types of things, Joe, that you talk about because it becomes more emotional than it is black and white. You know, if there was a disagreement and they said, yeah, I don't think this is going to work, see you later. But at the same time, you know, I hear you talk about Kyle and I look at the guy that's replaced him, and the guy that's replaced him looks a lot better more often than not at Ty Gibbs. He's in better equipment, so he should, but Ty Gibbs still looks better than what Kyle did his last year at. I mean, his only win was at Bristol, and that's because 2 guys wrecked.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
so
we also don't know if there wasn't some.
yeah, I mean, we could conspiracy theory a little bit and say there was some bullshittery that happened, but at the same time, you know, it makes more sense why Kyle was emotional leaving, because I think he knew I won't win a 3rd championship at RCR. And I just don't see that happen. I mean, they can't even run green flag laps without being a lap down at the place that they hold a championship. So if this wasn't a 37-year-old Kyle Busch, Travis, I'd be totally in line with what you're saying. I think Kyle Busch is still talented. I think he's lost a step. I think that's evident with the amount of spins and wrecks that we see. He Jimmy Johnson's himself at times to his own detriment. I will say that Austin Dillon is better than John Hunter Nemechek. Austin Dillon will be in more playoffs than John Hunter Nemechek ever will be. I would put money down right now that will happen. So
I still think. Go ahead.
No, I think Austin Dillon has talent. I don't think that he is, a top 15 driver, but I think that RCR has fallen so low that you see a guy like Kevin Harvick leave. You see generational talent like Kevin Harvick, a Hall of Famer, leave. You see generational talent like Tyler Reddick, who could be a Hall of Famer. For God's sakes, if Greg Biffle is in the Hall of Fame announcement committee this week, there's no reason that Tyler Reddick won't be a Hall of Fame candidate when he retires.
Yep.
So, I there's a reason why these guys leave. And it's because of this good old boy system, Joe. And I don't think it's going to change, man. I don't see it changing. And the only thing that's got to change is Kyle Busch. Otherwise, this is going to be a sad, lonely road. And I'm more pessimistic than most. I'll give you that, Travis. But I just try to look at this from black and white, and what I'm seeing with my eyeballs, try to remove it from my heart. And man, it's rough. It's bad. I remember, just real quick, I remember watching a race and talking to somebody, my dad or somebody else, and go, man, it wasn't a great day for Kyle. It didn't even lead any laps. Boy, we can't get stage points.
Yeah.
We can't get top 10 in stage points. So we have fallen very far. Anything else, Mr. Butt?
No, I look at it. I'm just going to say I would not be shocked if the next 2 years, if Kyle Busch doesn't end up at Hendrick at some point, driving a 48 car.
Well, then he's doing really good, I guess, at RCR.
I'm gonna call it right now.
Shooting a shot.
Of course, I mean, think about it. Like, who's gonna take over? Bowman, unless he picks it up over the next year or so. I know he just signed an extension. I know that Ally likes
ninth
him
right now, man.
I know, but
he's 9th or 10th. That's not bad.
His teammates have 5 wins.
Your worst driver's 10 points.
I know.
That's money.
I know.
That's money.
He's done better. He probably saved himself so far this year. Let's just put it that way.
He's got a real chance to win this week. I'll say that. So let's move on. This is one of our longest shows, but we missed a show last week, so that's okay. Let's move on to our game. Oh, I shared too soon. I got to do this. This is probably why I moved on really quick. Yeah. A lot of shenanigans, a lot of bullshittery going on right there. But let's go ahead and play Rolling Off the Grid.
You guys are lucky we didn't play last week.
I don't remember that being that loud, but that's me. So. Travis, you obviously will go first. Joe, we'll go in terms of golf. I was below you and then tied you, so you technically, I guess, will still go second, and then I will go last. So, can you guys see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Poor Michael McDowell.
You're gonna have a headache.
We'll lead off. Oh my God.
This is bullshit.
Gosh. How many points is it if I just guess in first place?
5 more points.
You don't want to do that. You want to guess them third.
You get 5 bonus points if he gets the win and you guess the win.
Let's go first. Let's do it.
If I get that, I get to pick 2.
That's fine. Oh, I took it off. I took it off.
Oh.
Oh, well, there you go.
Ooh.
12th.
I can't believe I'm saying that.
Oh, I had 12 in my head.
I thought you were dyslexic. Oh, snap. Damn, we're getting good ones this time. Normally we get really bad. Third.
Who was that?
Chase Elliott.
Oh, okay.
Give me Cody Ware.
Cody. Oh my God. Look, dude, we're getting bangers. We're getting freaking bangers.
Give me fourth.
Oh my God. I'm telling Daniel Hendrick's gonna pop up here in a minute, and I'll just apologize ahead of time. No way. Is it? Oh, it went Ricky. Sorry, Joe.
Like
Ricky
Spence.
22nd.
20 seconds. For you guys playing at home, feel free to do the same with these picks. Stay 11, stay 11, stay 11. Don't go 4.
No. That's tough.
Yeah. 16th.
Remember, he's been good on concrete.
Yeah. Not banked concrete like this. Some bankage.
Give me Cody Ware.
Oh, there's Daniel Hendrick. Dude, Cody Ware's old ride? Oh.
Give me 17.
17th. No hezzy. Joe, your last one. Chase Briscoe.
Oh, almost Daniel.
I'm going. Let's go top 10. Let's go 10.
10th Chase. And my last one.
Give him Cody Ware. Cody Ware. Cody Ware.
Todd Gillen.
Ooh. He almost made him as my stock up.
Cody Ware running this week?
Mm.
Well, I think he's in jail.
No, he ran last week.
He did run last week.
He went back to jail.
He's on a work release program.
Work release.
13th. Damn. Side note, Cody Ware was never convicted of this said crime. But that doesn't make it nearly as fun. So there you go. Those are our 3 picks. And now we'll jump into this week's race preview at Dover. Sometimes words are hard. Let's look at our standings for this. Closer.
Coming back at you.
Joe and I stay tied in everything, and Travis leads. So
You're lucky my last week picks didn't work.
yeah, well, you could have made it to the
top
show.
5, so
You could have made it to the show, and you were coaching your dogs like, Air Bud or some shit. I don't know what you were talking about, but you couldn't make it. Joe had to go to a track meet in the middle of the woods in Hope, Indiana, for God's sake. So, I mean, it happens. It happens. But here we are. We're at Dover. Travis, go ahead and talk about your picks here.
Yeah, Chastain's always ran well there. I think he's going to continue that. Obviously, it's hard not to go with Larson. As you can see, we've all picked Larson.
Yeah.
Logano, who's been a lot better on short tracks of late. I think he's going to give me an easy top 10. Gibbs, it's hard not to go with him. he's going to just keep up that streak. And then Ryan Preece, it's kind of a wild card. I was kind of a coin flip between him and Gilliland of who I was going to pick. I'm just hoping Preece can somehow give me a top 10 out of this. He's going for the short tracks, and he ran okay at Bristol. So we'll see.
Joe, go ahead with yours.
Well, I'm going with who I think are probably the best drivers in the sport right now, and I do that because I need to catch Travis. I'm going at this with a pure intellectual mind. I need to catch Travis. In these points, I need to take this championship from his clutches. So obviously, with Larson, Hamlin, Byron, and Blaney, and then Noah Gragson. I think he's having a decent season for what he's working with, and I think he's the best driver to pick outside the top 20 right now.
A very good bounce back campaign for Noah Gragson after the debacle that was last year. Hendrick dominates here. Refreshed in my memory is them going 1, 2, 3, 4. So I didn't want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went 1, 2, 3 with Larson, with Byron, with Elliott. I could honestly see that happening again. I went with last year's winner because you got to choose a Joe Gibbs car. And being from New Jersey, I guess this track is kind of close to there. I don't know. It feels like Martin's got like 3 home tracks, kind of like Denny. And because I cheated last week and I used a guy inside the top 20, I went complete Oppo Taco, went with the ugliest car in the field, but also a guy that won here a ton. I don't think he'll be anywhere close. So this is me just giving a pick away. This is one of the ugliest schemes I've ever seen. Jimmy Johnson in the 84 car. So there you go. God, that's a god-awful car.
The Mavis tire is pretty ugly.
I actually like that one.
You
compared
do?
To, yeah.
I guess it actually kind of, I don't know. It's kind of
it's old school. It reminds me of like a 50s tires joint.
I think it's ugly, but
this reminds me, the 84 reminds me of a calico cat that just got hit, but somehow has been living and just keeps going around your house. And you're like,
whoa,
no, please get away.
I got scratched by a cat today at work.
Don't get the fever. You'll blind.
I hope not.
So we do got a chat right here. John
Forster did not go with only one SHR.
Oh my.
That's big steps for John. Either that or he needs help. Good for you, buddy. So we got Chase, William, Brad, Martin, and Denny. No, those are solid picks. So, all right, gentlemen. Well, we will be, depending on what's going on tomorrow, we'll probably stream an iRace, whether it be with Joe or Travis, one of you guys, depending upon your guys' schedule. I know Joe has an open schedule past midnight, considering that's when I typically see him on there. Travis, as you can tell, at 10:15 is getting tired. So we'll be doing that. We'll have a betting show for you guys. I got some shorts that I'll probably drop. That doesn't sound right. That's okay. So, we'll put that on the schedule as well. You guys have any closing remarks?
We're less than a month away, baby.
Oh, God. We're less than a month away from IndyCar Racing, who had 300,000 viewers this week, which will be less than what actually can fit inside of the speedway for the.
Yeah, well, you know what? How about we don't run IndyCar at the same fucking time? Sorry.
See you next week.